What's up everybody, and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're going to take a look at this 2023 Hyundai Kona N. This one is finished off in Sonic Blue. MSRP is at $36,600. So with that said, let's get right into this really sporty compact crossover. Underneath the hood of the 2023 Kona N, you're going to find a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder turbocharged motor pumping out 276 horsepower with 289 pound-feet of torque. It's paired to an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission, sending all the powers to the front wheels through a limited-slip front differential. It can achieve 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds, quarter-mile time at 13.9 seconds, and then with a curb weight around 3,300 pounds, running on a 13.2-gallon fuel tank, you can still get 20 miles per gallon in the city with 27 out on the highway. Overall length is 165.9 inches with wheelbase at 102.4. Width is 70.9 and height is 61.6 inches. You're also going to get ventilated disc brakes up front with 14.2-inch rotors and ventilated discs in back with 12.4-inch rotors. And then now moving on to the styling with this sporty compact car. This blue color is really white looking, has a really sweet look. Of course, with all the gloss black and red accents as well. Up on top, these are actually the DRLs and turn signals, having a pretty neat design. And then your headlights are down below that, all LED of course, with all gloss black trim surrounding them. You can see your N badge in the center of this grille and a huge opening with large pieces of mesh to allow a ton of cooling. The Hyundai logo is even hollowed out. You can see more of this dark trim down below with another opening for the intercooler. And I really like the gloss red trim. You can see a pretty cool fin design within the bumper as well, and it definitely has a pretty sporty look. There's a trim piece in the upper portion of the bumper as well. And then you're going to see pretty smooth body lines going around the hood. As we start making our way to the side profile, I really like these front fender flares. Kind of gives it a mini wide body design, just the way they're protruding outward just a little bit. And then you're also going to see these 19-inch wheels with a multi-spoke design in two-tone color, and you can see that red brake caliper. You got really sharp lines going through the side profile all the way towards the rear. And I love this sharp line going around the rear fender leading down to this N logo. The side skirt has more of that red trim as well as the dark accents. You got a lot of cool body contours. You get a set of body color door handles and then gloss black mirror caps with a turn signal on the side, and then all black trim surrounding the windows. This does get the optional roof rails up on top, having a nice look to them with a shark fin antenna in back. And then you get a gloss trim piece cutting through this pillar into that integrated spoiler. Now the overall side profile, this is a pretty compact vehicle as you can tell. It has good proportions though, it looks nice and sporty, and it really does stand out to be a pretty aggressive looking compact car. Now in back, you can see a good look at that spoiler with a really cool 3-dimensional design, and we get a triangular shape third brake light up on top. Really like all that cool design elements. And then you can see all of your brake lights and tail lights in back. The upper ones are nice and thin and look pretty traditional. And then down below, you can see how these ones have a blacked out design with more of the LED technology. You get the N logo on the far right, Kona badge on the left. Hyundai logo is right in the center with a trim piece above the license plate. And then you can see this massive rear diffuser. You get huge exhaust tips as well, more of the black trim as well as all the red accents. I think overall the Kona comes together to be very sporty looking and pretty aggressive. And then moving to the key fob, you just get lock, unlock, remote start, and the panic button. If I go ahead and lock the car and keep the key fob in my pocket, it'll automatically unlock once I grab the door handle. And then we get a black interior for this particular spec. You are going to see some light blue accents. And then on the door panel, you can see this dark black color for your release handle with a speaker, window controls, mirror controls, and lock and unlock. And then mainly just all black, a little bit of plastic on it as well. You get some vinyl accents to it with your grab handle, and then quite a lot of storage down below with a Harman Kardon audio system. We get the N logo on this aluminum door sill, and then all of your power controls are on the left side of the seat. And you can see the smooth black leather with the light blue stitching, and I really like the Alcantara that's in the center of these seats. Gives it a nice grippy and sporty looking appearance. You can see that N logo as well, and a pretty cool perforated stripe throughout the center. Nice headrest with more of the stitching. Then we get all blue stitching along the steering wheel with some cool accents, 3-spoke design, and dark trim. And then now inside the Kona N, keep my foot on the brake, we can go ahead and fire it up. Taking a look at the center screen now, you get an LCD display with your speedometer and fuel on the left, tachover on the right with engine temperature, and then you get a configurable screen right in the center with vitals underneath that. You can configure it using the icons on the far right side of the steering wheel. So right now you can see your turbo boost as well as your engine's torque. You can scroll up and down to see lap timers, G-force meters, along with oil temp and transmission temperature. If I tap the pages icon, I can scroll left and right and see all sorts of information throughout each page. I can continue over now into your navigation system. You have tire pressure that will come up as well. Some of your safety systems for all the cruise control. And then you go back to that one screen. I really love if you configure these N buttons. Tapping right now on the left one, I have it set up to go into this really nice custom mode. And now you get vitals on the left, a massive tach with your gear and speed. And then on the right side, you can scroll up and down to see a few more performance items. Then all your vitals are down below with your settings. Just tapping that once again, we're back into the normal screen. And then looking at the steering wheel, on the left side, we get all of your Bluetooth and audio controls, paddle shifters on the back for the dual clutch transmission, then cruise control settings on the far right side with your lane keeping and steering intervention. We have this button right down here. When you tap this will be the N grin shift mode. So once we're driving, we'll play with that. And then on the far right side, you can see your windshield wiper stock, and then turn signals and headlights on the left. To the left of the steering wheel, you can see the interior lighting as well as a downhill assist. You have an air vent on the far left side, just black plastic running across the entire dashboard. Then you can see all of your air vents on the far right side and then right in the center. And then now moving to the infotainment system, this is nice touchscreen just like you would expect on any Hyundai. The N mode is super cool, gives you a really cool graphic. Then we see your throttle position, you can see oil temp, engine temp, a tachometer even in the center. You have your brake pedal. Scrolling over, you see all the different settings that are adjustable from your transmission to the exhaust sound, traction control, suspension, and steering, and then that limited slip in your engine. We have the launch control activate button over on this far right side. You can go into performance options and adjust quite a few things. Then going back to the home screen, we of course have a full screen navigation system, the navigation information, all of your audio controls, and more things like that. Now if I go ahead and put it into reverse, backup camera is going to pop up. You got a pretty good view on this far left screen. And then if I just tap this icon, we get an extra view to see straight down. And then going back into park, that's going to shut off. Underneath that, we do get quite a few shortcuts for all of your navigation and radio. We have tuning and scrolling on the right, volume on off on the left, and then climate controls are down below. We get single zone temperature. You can easily adjust everything, fan speed on the right with air conditioning, and then all of your different zones and different toggle switches. There are some different plugs down below along with wireless phone charging. Then our drive mode select is right in the center. You just turn this left and right. You can go into all your different modes. You can see the sport mode. You can hear that exhaust change, which you already heard. Then we have traction control on the right, heated seats, and then I really like more of that blue stitching and blue accents all throughout it. You can see the two cup holders in the center, manual park and brake as well. Then a nice armrest with just a little bit of storage space down below. And then our glove box is a pretty normal bucket, as you would expect. One last look at the interior. It's pretty simple. The dash and doors are mainly just plastic. However, you get a really cool set of sporty seats, and I like the configurable steering wheel with that gauge cluster. And then moving on to the rear seat space, if I grab the door handle and open it up, door panel's finished off just like the front, mainly just plastic with a little bit of padding. And then we have all the same seats back here with the smooth leather, contrast stitching, and the cool Alcantara throughout. This can seat 3 people, and then in the center, if I pull this down, you can see a nice little armrest with 2 cup holders. And then as far as amenities go, we just get 1 plug and the smallest bit of storage, and then a little cargo net. All right, so now sitting in the back of this Kona N, this is a very compact car. It's either a very compact crossover or a glorified hatchback. So it's definitely on the small side. I will say though, at 5'11", I have really good height. I have about 2 inches of headroom. Armrest is in a good place, and you do get quite a lot of glass around you. So it actually feels pretty open. The seats don't recline, but they're at a good enough angle to feel comfortable. So for being so small, it's actually pretty comfortable back here. No air vents or anything like that, but we do get your light up on top, a grab handle along with a hook. And then moving on to the cargo area, the only way to do it is just tap this button back here, and then we're gonna manually lift that gate up. So here we have a small amount of storage space. This is maybe 2.5, 3 feet in length. Underneath the floor, I can pull this up and we get a little bit of hidden storage space. It is pretty squared off in here and you can fit some decent items, so not too bad for being a compact vehicle. Of course, we have a removable privacy cover as well. And then with that taken out, you can just grab these handles on the back side of these seats and we can get them to fold nice and flat. And from here you can see just how much extra storage space you're gonna get in the Kona. It still is a pretty useful vehicle, especially having some more height versus a typical sedan. So for being pretty small, you know, it still is a pretty roomy, practical, fun little car. All right guys, so we are setting off now. So this little Kona N is pretty fun to drive, honestly. It's just kind of like a tossable, little sporty car. There are some fun attributes. So if we go into drive now, we're already in the sport mode, and we'll swipe over once, hit active for the launch control, and then just hold the brake and gas. Is quick with launch control. Traction does a pretty good job. There is some torque steer, so when you launch this car, make sure you're kind of holding on. You know, you gotta know what you're doing. But this is fun to just play around with. It's not like throw you back in your seat fast, obviously with, you know, less than 300 horsepower, but it's quick enough. And it's cool when you're in automatic. That is when this mode actually works really well. So just tap that once, it downshifts, and just gives you all the power. Oh, you can just have fun and play with a car like this. It handles good. We're gonna go back on those turns in a second. But if I go ahead and tone the car down now, drive mode into eco mode, and automatic, the car does tone down enough to just kind of be a normal car. It still is definitely an economy car, so it's not like anything luxurious or super refined. However, it's actually pretty comfortable, of course, with the power seats and everything. Feels like a pretty decent just daily drive around town. A little noisy on the highway, but it's kind of to be expected with something like this. But you have pretty good visibility, windshield's really large, and it's such a short car, the back end is right there. So rearward visibility honestly isn't too crazy. One thing I noticed, the turning radius isn't the best for even being just a front wheel drive car. This is kind of a bad turning circle. Like I actually have to turn around a little bit and reverse. So turning circle isn't the greatest, but you know, that's a small downfall with this car. Now let's go back into the fun modes. I really like the screen too. It's just so cool having these type of parameters on here. Just kind of gives you like all the fun things you would want a sports car like this to have, but wrapped in an economy car that is still pretty darn useful. Honestly, it's pretty peppy actually. It's not a slow car, while it isn't the fastest. It's nice that they actually put a 2-liter 4-cylinder in here, because I feel like a car like this normally would have like a 1.5 with barely 200 horsepower. So they actually gave it a really good power plant. So it's really powerful, I guess, for being a smaller car. And then with the steering, suspension, and all those other parameters that change when you're in the sport mode, it actually is like fun to drive and handles really, really good. The front differential does a good job keeping the power there. You're just gonna fight a little torque steer. The exhaust has a pretty cool sound to it as well. So then turning around to my honest thoughts perspective of driving this, it's a fun car. Now $36,000, it does kind of seem a little expensive. I mean, you're talking 40 grand out the door. Seems like an awful lot for what is really a basic economy car with the fun factor. I will say though, for the power plant and the performance technology it has, I can kind of see that price point. This does have a fun factor though, with just the way it works with all this N stuff. You wouldn't expect it. Man, I like how when it's in that mode, it adjusts the shifts a little bit to keep the power going to the ground. It's really neat just the way everything is set up like that. Let's do launch control once again. And you can adjust that. That's 65 right there. It's pretty quick. It's pretty fun just to play with this thing. And the handling also is surprising. Not that it is surprising. We've had the Veloster N before, and that was so much fun to just rip through the mountains, rip through the turns with. The Kona N is kind of, I would say, the bigger brother of that, which makes a lot of sense. If you want a little bit bigger version of the Veloster, you know, this is the one you'd want because you have the full 4 doors, larger space, you're a little bit higher up, and you kind of have more of that crossover SUV style and sizing. But, you know, you still get all the fun factor and stuff. And it's cool when you tone it down, put us back into drive, and then even just go into eco mode. You know, the car relaxes to where it's actually a nice daily, a good just commuter car, things like that. You're gonna get pretty good gas mileage. And I love the technology. I think Hyundai's lane keeping assist, the steering intervention and stuff, it all works really good. The torque steer doing that, even in eco mode, that was actually pretty quick. But torque steer is the one drawback you're gonna have with this much power in front wheel drive. But anyways, cruise control and everything, it works really well. The lane keeping does exactly what you want it to do. I mean, you can literally drive this car with your hands off the wheel. So I like how good that technology works in a car like this. So it's cool to see how you still get normal modern technology. I mean, obviously navigation, all the normal stuff, but then you get that playful aspect. And it's really cool to where I'm in eco mode automatic. If I just press that NGS button once, we're instant in all the performance stuff. And I used that yesterday, just driving home, rainy, late night, and a slow car in front of me, and I was in eco mode cruising, and I wanted to pass them. So just like you see in like race cars, it's basically push to pass. You got a slow car in front of you, you want to just pass them real quick, tap the button. And there you go, press the button again, and we're back to eco mode. So that is super cool, and I just love that gauge cluster turning on and off like that. So there is the Kona N, fun car to play with for sure. It's something else. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for plenty more content to come. And I'll see you all in the next video.